You're used to teaching in a large lecture hall, and you know it's difficult to give your students the personalized instruction they need. But with Introduction to Business, Best Practices, and Emerging Trends, you can help your students master the fundamentals of business, no matter the class size. This leading-edge courseware is authored by academic experts Dr. Laura Munoz and Dr. Rich Miller from the University of Dallas, and it includes engaging assignments and real-world projects, lesson plans, auto-graded quizzes, and more. Your students will learn essential business practices, such as attracting top talent, building a strong supply chain, creating value propositions, managing operations, securing business financing and accounting frameworks, and designing effective marketing strategies. Help your students thrive in business with Introduction to Business, Best Practices, and Emerging Trends. Fill out the form on this page to get free instructor access to this courseware, including a full suite of educator and student resources.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thanks for joining us today. Happy Friday. This is our Intro to Business courseware launch. We're so excited to have everyone with us today. During our presentation today, we want you to use the chat room to the side here. Go ahead and let us know what your name is and where you're teaching at, where you're at right now. Looks like we have a lot of people. We have Tim, who's from upstate New York. It's a snowy day. Good afternoon, Tim. We're in Idaho, southeast Idaho. That's where Stukent is located, and we have a very snowy day also here today. Looks like we have Tiffany from the University of New Mexico, Jim from the University of Dallas, another snowy day in Maine from looks like Kim. Welcome, everyone. We are very happy to have you with us today. We're so excited for this event. We have our authors who are with us, Laura Munoz and Rich Miller, and they are really excited. They've put a lot of work into this courseware and into this program, and we can't wait to share everything with you today. As we get started, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Paul Cotter. I'm a project marketing manager here at Stukent, and I work with the Introduction to Business courseware. And just as we get started today, we will be doing several polls. There's information that we want to gather from you. We know that you guys are in the trenches, you're teaching every day, and we want to hear what you have to share about your classes, your experiences. And we want to use that information to make what we do better so that we can help students and help the world. We put a poll up. Let us know how long you've been teaching higher education. There's another poll up. Do you currently teach an Intro to Business course? And we'll put a couple more up there. So just watch those and fill those out as we're getting started, letting everyone trickle in. We're going to ask you, how many Intro to Business instructors do you have at your school? All right, so go ahead and fill those out. We'll look at those. We got a fun one here. This is an interesting poll question. We had a group of study participants who drank which of the following over a 7-day period and reported a higher GPA? Was it 11 glasses of milk, 3 energy drinks, or 5 cups of coffee? So go ahead and fill those out. Let us know your answers. Keep signing in and letting us know where you're from and what you're teaching. All right, so let's look at this. It looks like the majority of you have taught between more than 10 years. 56% of you have taught more than 10 years. Then we've got between 5 and 10. And 3% are brand new. Welcome to you who are brand new. Thanks for joining us also. Looks like 47% of you are currently teaching Intro to Business courses. So that's great. We're glad that you've joined us, and we hope that we can share a lot with you and learn from you today. How many Intro to Business instructors does your school have? It looks like 48% have 4 or more. So we know it's a pretty popular course. Lots of people have to take it. And then it looks like we're tied for the GPA question. Is it 11 glasses of milk or is it 5 cups of coffee? So should I reveal the answer now? The answer is 11 glasses of milk. Isn't that funny? So participants who drank 11 glasses of milk over a 7-day period reported a higher GPA. So I thought that was just a fun one to share with you guys. Anyways, as we get going here today, I want to let you know a little bit about some of the upcoming events we have at Stukent. If you're not familiar with us, we have a lot going on and a lot of events. And so what I want to do is we put a little link up here to our upcoming events page. And at that page, you can always go there and see what's coming up next at Stukent. Just some of the things that are in our immediate future. We have a brand new simulation that's launching for name, image, and likeness. That's kind of a new thing that has hit the collegiate athletic world. And so Stukent has courseware and a simulation for that. So if that interests you, we also have a career readiness webinar coming up and a Stukent digital summit that focuses on social media marketing and digital marketing. And then we have, as a continuation of this launch, on March 25th, we have a separate launch for the simulation for Intro to Business. And so please click that and register right now so that you'll be notified and can attend that event. At that event, we'll walk you through the simulation, let you see it, get a sneak peek into it. This is a fantastic simulation. It's our best one yet, and we're really excited to share it with you. Other ways that you can keep in contact with us, follow us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. We post all of our events there. We also have a Stukent professor community that is on Facebook. And if you join that community, you'll be able to communicate with other like-minded professors in higher ed. Now, what I want to do as we get started today is some of you may know Stukent, some of you may not. And as we go through this event, you're going to learn about us and see who we are. We are about helping educators, help students, help the world. We're about staying current, and we love these things. And you're going to learn that about us today. I want to show you a quick video that is a special project and donation, actually, that Stukent has made. And it's to a program called VELI. And so I'm going to pull this up and just show you this quick video that gives you an update on this program.
In 2018, Stukent paid to put 10 Beninese students through VELI, the Van Dyce Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute. The VELI Institute is a training center, microfinancing center, and business incubator in sub-Saharan Africa. One of the students who received the Stukent scholarship was Clarice Soanu, a young entrepreneur who wanted to start Children Aduk, a non-governmental organization aimed at improving the lives of children in Benin, Africa. Our CEO and founder, Stuart Draper, met Clarice during a pitch meeting and loved her idea for Children Aduk. Stukent donated tens of thousands to Clarice's NGO. Since then, Stukent has helped Children Aduk provide thousands of meals for children in Benin, hire teachers for villages, and provide students with educational materials, clothes, and shoes. At Stukent, our mission is to help educators help students help the world. Thanks to Stukent's donations, Clarice Soanu is changing lives in Benin for the better. We're proud to empower educators like Clarice, who can, in turn, help her students, who will someday go out and change their world. When you use Stukent's courseware and simulations in your classroom, you give us the ability to educate students, fight poverty, and improve lives all over the globe.
Okay, so guys, that video is a really great video, and it's one of the reasons that I really love working here at Stukent. This company is awesome. They care about people, they care about students, and it's just so great to be a part of that. Whether the students are here in the US, in Canada, in Mexico, in Africa, all over the world, I love being a part of this company. It's great, and I just wanted to show you that so you could get a little bit of a feel for who we are. So before we get started, and I turn the time over to our authors, I want to just let you know that if you haven't already, we are going to give everyone here today free instructor access to our Introduction to Business courseware. So I'm going to throw a link up here, and you can click that link, and that link, click on request free instructor access, and it will take you, and you can sign up, and we'll give you free access. You can go through the courseware, you can check it out, you can see the assignments, the syllabus, you can read it, you can click on the links, you can do everything and get to know it and get a feel for it. So if you haven't done that already, please take the time to do that. I want to also introduce our authors. So we are about to bring on stage Laura Munoz and Rich Miller. Laura and Rich are the authors of Introduction to Business courseware. They live in Dallas, Texas. I want to tell you one thing. This fall, I had the opportunity to meet Rich and Laura personally. They came to Southeast Idaho and they visited with us here at Stukent. And it was so great to get to know them. Not only are they super intelligent and amazing at what they do at teaching, but they are also amazing people. They're so genuine, so nice, and we had an amazing time together. So I want to, without further ado, turn the time over to Laura and Rich.
Hi, thanks, Paul. Welcome to everybody that's out there. So as we've already been introduced, I'm Rich Miller and my co-author, Laura Munoz. We wanted to go through our courseware today. Hopefully you can learn a lot and we can answer some of your questions.
Well, hi everyone and welcome. We are truly excited and thankful to Stukent and everyone there for the opportunity to do this. Just to let you know a little bit of who we are as academics, I have a PhD from the University of Texas Pan American, which is AACSB accredited, and I have over 15 years of teaching experience in several universities. Also, as part of my pedagogical training, I've been to Harvard Law School for the negotiation seminar and to Harvard Business School for the case method seminar. And yes, teaching is a passion of ours, so is researching as well. And just to give you a little bit of who we are, also some of the awards that I have received, it's in 2021, I was honored to win the best paper in the pedagogical track at the Society of Marketing Advances Conference. And then in 2020, I also won the best paper, but in this time in the sales track.
Hi, as I already mentioned, I'm Rich Miller. So I have about over 15 years of teaching experience as well. I got my doctorate in business administration from Cleveland State. I've also had some awards that I'd like to talk about. My most proud one was in 2016. I won the Best Paper Award for the Journal of Management Education on extending the Kolb model. A little bit about Laura and I. We've been friends for many years, and we've co-authored several pedagogy papers and other research papers. So our courseware that we wrote, we got a lot of that co-author stuff, the bumps and hurdles out of the way. So hopefully that you'll love the courseware as much as we do.
Exactly. So
the first question, why we wrote this courseware. As we mentioned, we've been educators for almost 2 decades now, and we know what it's like to be in the classroom and to get materials from other publishers, and you have to do all the work yourself. So the real reason that we wrote the courseware was for the students. It's engaging. We have the simulation that Paul had mentioned that we'll be launching next month. There's practice slides. So you're not just up there lecturing, you give the students activities and engagement in the classroom, plus the courseware, everything just brings the students alive.
now, as part of the reasons, we were asked today to share why we decided to write this courseware. And yes, I think it comes throughout that we are passionate about teaching. We want our students to do our best, but there are also other reasons. So before we do that, allow me to share a few statistics with you. Mental health of college students, it is a growing concern. Just to give you a few statistics, from a study from the Mayo Clinic, up to 44% of college students have reported feeling depression and anxiety. We also saw that half of students reported feeling, again, this overwhelmingly anxious state just in the past year, and it's still not getting better for some. We also see that there is increased stress to be successful, and students are not equipped with the essential life skills. So we know we have in America the pressure to be perfect, and we certainly have a culture of hyperachievement, and we want to make a contribution. We want to help to provide a new perspective for our students. Also, there is an increased call to teach soft skills to college students. We all hear it, like my students, sometimes they cannot present, but they cannot interview well. They know so much about the technical side, but what about the soft skills? So just to give you a few statistics as well, Google found in a study that the best team performance comes from employees who exhibited strong soft skills to the collaborative process. Also, another study from MIT, they concluded that actually soft skills improve productivity and support a faster completion of complex tasks. And then, yes, critical thinking, communications, and grit, they're not just nice to have skills. They're not just to, if I have time, I'll teach them. No, we believe that they are truly power skills, and we need to make an emphasis on teaching them to our students.
So, StuChem, where the model is help educators, help students, help the world, StuChem keeps academia current. So Paul has a poll that he would like to ask right now. So the poll is, how familiar are you with StuChem? If you're not very familiar, we'll get into that. If you have been using StuChem, as Laura has for many years, you're familiar with the courseware system. So we have the StuChem started in, most of the courseware is in marketing, and schools such as Berkeley, the University of Washington, NYU, Wharton, Michigan State, North Carolina, Northwestern, and many schools, large and small, use the marketing software. Our courseware is the first one that's getting into the introduction of business. But the other aspects of StuChem that are important are the culture. As Paul had mentioned, we went out and met the team in November, and we can understand why. It's one of the Inc. Incorporated's 5,000 companies. There's over 5,700 academic institutions that are currently using the StuChem software. And in those institutions, there's over 410,000 students that have benefited from this courseware. So The other reason that we wrote this courseware, besides the students, and this feeds into why it's good for the students, it's 100% digital. There's no paper book that is given to the students. So that allows us as authors, every year, we are going to be refreshing and updating so that you don't have examples that are 5 or 10 years old. They're relevant, they're current. Because it also is a digital courseware, we have embedded many different hyperlinks in the courseware. So for example, a student's interested in opening up a business, there's a link for the Small Business Administration on how to write a business plan. So the students can be engaged while reading the courseware, not just going through the words, but also learning as and interacting with the world as they go through. And also, we all know that students run into problems when they're dealing with our classes. Stukent has one of the best customer service systems out there with their virtual teaching assistant. And it's attributed with their 96% customer satisfaction rating.
So now we want to tell you, so yes, we believe Stukent, it's a powerful platform, it's a powerful company, but now we also want to take the opportunity to tell you what makes Introduction to Business different, why we think you should adopt our courseware. The very first reason, which is one of the most powerful ones, it's that we make sure we provide opportunities for students that go beyond theory. We understand that it's important to teach the basics, yes, yet our students want to learn it today and be able to implement it tomorrow. So we took the time to not only write about all the different business areas and functions, but we also talk about applications. We also talk about, for example, what are current best practices and what are current trends. For example, if you're teaching about human resources, you cannot not talk about diversity, equality, and inclusion. So we want our students not to be reading abstract sentences, but we want them to connect with the content. So tomorrow, if they choose to go and become entrepreneurs, they know what are the basic knowledge. They know the basics, but they also know how to do it. They also know what are best practices and even key performance indicators per area. Another reason, and again, this one is the one that I think it's one of the reasons that we are the most proud of, is that we took our time to talk about power skills. I want you to think of your power skills as your interpersonal skills. Yes, our students, we know they have hard skills, but they also need this other set of skills that complements their relationships, as I said, but also the skills that they have and need in the workplace. So we took the time, we wrote an intro chapter just on thriving in business, where we talk about what is resilience, what is grit, the importance of positive self-talk. We do exercises. We also do applications because it is important that students know themselves. We also talk about the importance of redefining success and failure. Failure is just simply lack of trying, and we need to help our students regain that perspective that nobody became perfect overnight, and certainly perfection is something that evades us every day. We also talk about how to developing and maintaining professional relationships, and we talk about emotional intelligence. And again, not only it's important that we talk about them, but we also provide several assessments and exercises. So as you are teaching to your students and as you are talking to them, they can actually complete them and they can get to know themselves better so they know where they might need to work on and what they are already doing correctly.
Yeah, and if you'll take a note, we just put in, you can download one of the assignments that's in the book.
Yes, that is our free giveaway today just for attending. We are giving you a free assignment so you can see as an example of what we wrote and do in this courseware. And we hope you'll certainly love it and give us feedback about it as well. Another reason why we love this courseware and we truly believe you should go ahead and adopt it for your Introduction to Business classes is that we truly use relevant pedagogy and best classroom practices. Rich and I share together, we have over 25 years of teaching experience. We have won teaching awards, we have won research awards, we continue to read about pedagogy, and we continue to, again, grow. So this courseware, is designed by educators for educators, because we are there in the trenches with you. Another key thing is that we also updated the practice and knowledge. We don't think it's enough anymore to just talk about the essential business functions. That doesn't reflect reality. So we actually wrote specific chapters on, for example, the selling function. You might be asking yourself, well, why? Why the selling function? Well, actually, about 1/3 of graduating business students in their first job, they tend to go to a sales function. Also, if you think about it, if sales do not happen, then we cannot accrue for operations, right? Accounting, then we cannot hire people, which is your HR function. So we talk about the selling function. We also have a specific chapter on communication, but we go beyond just, for example, social styles. We talk about, for example, crafting a value proposition. Many of our students want to become entrepreneurs, and we want them to know how to craft their offer to their target market. And also, we wrote a chapter, a standalone chapter on setting up your business digital presence. It usually gets brushed up under marketing. People tend to talk about it very quickly, but these are not topics that should be just brushed off as part of another section. If you don't have a digital presence as a business, you cannot succeed. So we make sure we took the time to do that.
The other thing that sets our courseware apart is the PowerPoint set. We've all been in the classroom. You get the PowerPoint deck from another publisher, and you have to spend more time redoing their PowerPoints than if you just went through and did the PowerPoints yourself. So Laura and I, when we designed this, it's engaging. It's not death by PowerPoint. It's not something that you just have to go pound through and read a bunch of slides. They're engaging with the students, as I had mentioned earlier. Every several slides, there's an actual engagement activity with the students. One that we like is think, pair, and share. So it's a question, students get together in small teams, they discuss it, do some quick research, and then that leads to class discussion. So you're not stranded in the front of the classroom trying to deal with a PowerPoint set that just doesn't work well for lectures. Okay, now we have another poll that we'd like to give to you. So the poll question is, how many students are in your Intro to Business class?
And this is so we get to know you better. And we also continue to adapt the courseware based on your needs. It's important for us to get to know you and serve you based on what you need and teach.
Yeah, and we tried to write the courseware for a variety of class sizes. If you've got that 100+ large lecture or that smaller, more intimate classroom of 25, our courseware tries to do a good job of balancing the different class sizes you may have. So now, what's really interesting and what you've probably been waiting for is what's actually in the book. So we have 12 chapters. So as we've been talking about, we start off with what is a business, different business formation types, you know, if it's an LLC, an S Corp, all of the basic glossary terms and vocabulary that students need to know as they're building up, because we know most of the people that are going to be taking this class are probably freshmen or new to the concept of business education. And then as Laura had just talked about, I believe, and I know Laura believes this too, this is what sets the courseware apart. We've got the standard chapters on accounting and finance, but as we've been in the classroom, and you know this, talking to your students, when they come back from their first internship, most of the time, they're not so much worried about, you know, they didn't quite know an accounting thing. It was, I didn't know how to communicate professionally, or I had a problem with the project. What happened? And our joke then is, well, congratulations. Failure is an awesome learning tool. But if they don't go in there with that right mentality of how to thrive in the business, of the grit and positive self-talk and all of those things, we're leaving the students without a good education in this topic. And then we also have communicating in business, where we go through, again, different learning styles and communication styles. And then, as everybody has heard in the last few years, hiring and retaining in a business. Companies are having a struggle getting people in and then also keeping them. So we have an entire chapter dedicated to that topic. And then I'm an ops and supply chain guy. So the next 2 chapters are my favorite. So we go through operations management, different process types, the make versus buy decision, warehousing and distribution, the whole gamut of what students will need to know to prepare them for success in future operations management classes. And again, as with the hiring and retaining people, we've all heard of supply chains in the last few years. As a supply chain guy, that doesn't always make me happy because it's usually something bad. But students need to learn about how supply chains interact with their customer base and themselves. No company is an island. They need others to help them succeed.
And then once we are done with those chapters, we obviously jump to what I think are the best chapters of the courseware, because I am a marketing professor. So then, of course, we start talking about selling value, the sell function, which we should not be scared of. We actually prepare you. We provide the courseware and assignments where we, for example, help our students to articulate what is the value proposition. So if you actually can see on the left side of your slide, that is an actual screenshot, an image that we use in the courseware. Notice how we took the time to do the work for you. We took what a business actually does, what is their actual digital presence, and we went ahead and outlined all the elements that to craft a value proposition so you can teach them to your students while seeing what are truly best practices. And then we obviously jump into the one and only marketing the business, which obviously I think it's the best chapter, in which we obviously define marketing and we talk about where it takes place and how everything has to be worked together to create a truly outstanding marketing strategy. And then again, another key thing that differentiates this courseware is that we talk specifically about setting up a digital presence. Our students, again, they might want to become entrepreneurs. They may want to launch their own side gig, right? So how do you set up a digital presence? We talk about setting up your business in Google, right? What is the need for content? Some of the key performance indicators to look at. Also, we talk about accounting, yes. And again, we define accounting, the importance of using financial statements, again, with trends and best practices.
And as one of the themes of the book is preparing students if they want to be entrepreneurs, and also if they want to work in a corporation, but especially for entrepreneurs, financing the business is a critical element. So we cover the different types of debt and equity financing, angel investing, venture capital. We also look at different sourcing strategies for funding. And in keeping with the soft skills, we also have in this chapter a section on students preparing themselves for what happens afterwards. So we cover a lot of area in personal finance, saving for retirement. Again, the things that students aren't going to typically get in other courseware, but are just as critical at understanding what an operations is also preparing themselves for future. And then the other key element of preparing for the future is how do we take that 18 to 22-year-old for your traditional student or even older students? How do we get them to manage and lead for success? So we go through different types of managers and leaders and power, and then the different styles of leadership, and then also the decision making. And again, keeping with the soft skills theme, we also have a section on coaching and mentoring, because just like failure, you're not a fully formed person. Even if you're 50 years old in a company, you are always going to need help. So it's not an island that you're on as an employee. How do you get coaching to be better? And then also, how do you use mentors throughout your career to help set you up so that 5 years from now, you're in the right place to succeed?
And one more thing, if I may, again, for example, we personally designed the PowerPoint slides. We did not, subcontracted or assigned a TA. No, we personally took the time to design those. And we made sure that, for example, diversity and equity and inclusion are shown in the slides. We want every single student to feel reflected in the PowerPoints to truly make a connection between you, the instructor, and the student.
Okay, and now we have a simulation.
Well, we want to announce that our simulation, our bundle, is actually launching on March 25th. And I want you to kindly ask you to mark your calendars, because that's when we're going to actually launch them together, the bundle. Right now, we're launching the courseware. We want you to go ahead and log in, take a look at it. And then we've worked hand in hand with student people, and it is an outstanding simulation. I cannot wait to be able to show it to you guys.
Yeah, we've seen some of the beta, and it's amazing. The technology, the effort that the StuKent team has put into the simulation is incredible. It's like no other courseware that's out there.
Yes, exactly. And we also use, artificial intelligence. We make sure students can practice. And there is Paul. Hi, Paul.
Hi. So I wanted to come on while you were talking about the simulation. Our marketing operations manager, he told me that he did a little walkthrough of the simulation, and if I can allow him to share his screen on this presentation, he will walk us through and give us just a little sneak peek of the simulation that will be launching on the 25th of March. So what I'm going, if that's all right with you guys, okay with you guys?
Please, go ahead.
Great.
We haven't even seen this video, how new it is.
I know. Yeah, this is brand new. So I'm going to take us off stage, and then I'll let him share his screen, okay?
Hey everyone, thank you for letting me interrupt today's webinar. I'm just so excited to show you what our development team has been working on. Mimic Intro to Business is insane. Your students are going to get experience with human resources, supply chain, sales, marketing, and finance all within one simulation. Let's hop over to the human resources round so I can show you what I'm talking about. Here, your students will be able to choose recruitment strategies, and from the strategies that they choose, they'll be able to get a list of candidates. They'll be able to download the resumes, review those, and select the individuals that they're going to hire for the company. In the supply chain rounds, your students will gain experience with inventory amounts, as well as selecting components for a new product. In the sales round, we're doing something I've never seen done before in a simulation. This is really cool. They'll be able to join a video call and communicate directly with one of the simulated people on this call. They'll have the opportunity to respond and overcome some of the objections. We'll leave this call for now. In the marketing rounds, specifically here in round 11, students will have a chance to learn more about personas, and they'll actually be able to build out different segments of their personas right here. In the finance rounds, they'll have different interactions, but this one is one of my favorites. They'll be able to go into the operating income and add some drivers and some draggers and the percent effect that has on this. And this is going to populate a financial statement. So I went really quickly over some of the very cool features of the simulation, but there is so much more. Each one of these categories, both human resources and marketing, finance and supply chain, they all have more interactions in additional rounds. So join us here in a couple weeks where we're going to do a deep dive and go through all of it. But right now, I'm going to turn the time back over to Paul so he can take you through the Q&A for today's webinar. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for that video. And Paul, it's our time for our Q&A, right?
Yes. So just one thing I wanted to say about the simulation is that in the simulation, they're going to be in a fictitious company, working for a fictitious company called Bowie Supply Co. And they'll have a rotation and they'll go through rounds that they'll cover human resources, supply chain, sales, marketing, and finance. And so that is what, if you come to our event and register for the 25th, we'll go over all of that and do a demo with you for that. So we're really excited for that. And yes, like you said, we want to go into a Q&A right now. And so I we've been noting some of the questions that you've been asking in the chat, and so we'll start with those, but go ahead and enter any other questions that you have. Also, I want to ask you guys a question to share with us. I would like to know, we would like to know, what's your biggest challenge as an intro to business teacher? Type that in the chat and let us know. What are you doing in your classroom right now that seems to be working really well? And what do you wish you had in the classroom or in your course materials right now that you don't? So share those answers with us, and Laura and Rich will be happy to address any questions that you have. One of the questions that was asked by John was regarding the power skills and the soft skills. And he was wondering if you could give like a list of soft skills and define them.
You answer, I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for that question. So yes, so we made sure to take the time to separate those, right? Your technical hard skills are the skills that you learn, for example, based on your major. So if you're an accounting major, you're going to learn how to accrue accounting. You're going to learn how to read financial statements. You are going to learn how to do a cash flow statement. If you are a marketing major, of course, you need to know how to do segmentation and targeting and how to create a marketing strategy. But what we're also adding in this coursework, it's those soft skills that we call power skills, which are those soft skills are your interpersonal skills that are actually help you to characterize your relationships and also how you get along with other people, how you present yourself, and also they will complement your hard skills in the workplace. So think of them as complementary and help you to characterize who you are and characterize your professional relationships.
Great. Question that we had from Ken. He asked about if there are any self-assessments for the students that are included in the courseware.
There are plenty of self-assessments. We almost include like the first half before we get into all of the, your business functions. When we talk about communicating in business, when we talk about power skills, yes, we do self-assessments, for example, on do you have a positive or a negative self-talk tendencies. We try to help students to know how to measure grit. Mm-hmm. We also do a self-assessment in which is really neat. That one, I think it's my favorite, where we talk about helping students to understand how assertive or non-assertive they are, but also how expressive or not. They do a questionnaire and then they go ahead and chart their responses, and they get to see who they are. They get to see if they are an expressive person, or they get to see, for example, they're more of an analytical person. So for example, in this case, I think it's obvious to say I am the expressive in this partnership and Rich is more of the analytical. But that's very interesting because then students get to see who they are and it leads to great conversations in the classroom.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily changing, it's understanding who you are. But then we also have built-in exercises in the PowerPoints where the students inside of the courseware will do the assessments. And that's the beauty of also having 100% digital courseware. We also have a lot of links that they can visit some of the more popular websites so they can take a leadership style assessment and things like that. Again, we built this book understanding that at 18 or 19 years old for the traditional student, they're still figuring out who they are. So we try to put as much in there so they can do the self-discovery more than just you're going to get in your standard printed courseware material.
Excellent. Another question here from Dale is, how is sustainability covered?
Hi, Dale. Dale is one of our colleagues that teaches Intro to Business. So the sustainability topic, as Laura had mentioned, just the real quick sustainability of people, planet, and profit. We do cover the planet aspect of sustainability in the supply chain, both as a risk factor and something that companies are striving for today to improve. We also have the people aspect of it. For this book, it's more in that intrapersonal aspect of the people, but if you're not a good manager yourself, you're going to struggle being good to your employees and the other people both in your firm, your customers, and your supply chain.
Great. We had a couple questions about cost on here. The cost of the courseware is $79.99. Would you guys like to talk about just some of the extras that are included in this courseware that normally isn't included?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things, and again, we wrote this as pain points from being instructors for over 15 years. We wrote all of the test banks. So each chapter has 10 or so true and false questions, 15 or 20 multiple choice questions, and we also have some open-ended essay questions. So it's not something, again, I always hated opening up a test and knowing a graduate student wrote them. You're like, this is the worst question I've ever seen in my life. So then with that, we also have assessments.
Yes, so we have assessments in which, for example, they are exercises or they are homework elements that you can actually assign either as an individual level or as a group team effort where your students can actually go ahead, apply it, and implement it. Some of our assignments, they are a little bit more modern because we also acknowledge that our students are changing. So you will see a great deal of opportunities to, for example, that we challenge your students to go ahead and register on Canva and design an infographic about the topic that you're covering. Go ahead and create your LinkedIn profile, and we include all the elements that should be there for them already. So we go beyond your basic standards and to go ahead and add on. We also have the expert sessions, and this is additional content that instructors can assign. The students will watch a video with, for example, interviews with CEOs and marketing officers, and then they will have to complete a quiz to make sure that they paid attention and they understood the concepts of these expert sessions. And then I saw a question on the chat also, if I may. Somebody was asking, could this simulation be used as a capstone? If you are talking for an undergraduate level major, yes, definitely it can be used. It can be challenging. And again, because it covers all the areas of businesses. So yes, it could definitely be used as an end of semester or end of degree experience.
Great. There were a couple questions asking if the simulation can be used independently of the courseware and the courseware independent of the simulation or together.
So we wrote the simulation explicitly so it's part of the courseware. So as instructors, especially if you're in the large lecture sections, the students, by reading the courseware, will be able to do the simulation.
But with that said, yes, they can be used independently.
Mm-hmm.
You can go ahead and use the courseware by itself, and eventually, as you feel more comfortable, as you feel more ready, then you can jump ahead and add the simulation. Mm-hmm. I know I used to be that way. To me, it's harder to perhaps adopt a new book, and easier to adopt simulations. So it depends on your teaching style, but definitely, yes, they can be used independently.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they did, if you do use the simulation and the courseware together, you can bundle it. Student will bundle the pricing at $119. So yes, there's a little discount with that. As we finish up here, Carlos asked if you include cases in the courseware.
Absolutely. Yes, Carlos, we made sure, because we both love, Rich and I have both been to Harvard Business School to their seminar on the case method. So that is something that we feel passionate about and that we continuously use in our classes. So yes, we wrote six cases so far to help you motivate discussion, have more of we usually hear, that our students oftentimes don't have the job experience yet to be able to discuss and bring examples to the classroom. So cases help you to give that information and that perspective so students feel comfortable participating. So yes, we included cases.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank everyone for participating with us today. We want to thank you, Laura and Rich, for your presentation and for taking time to discuss this new courseware with us. Everyone who's attending, if you have an additional question, or we missed a question, we'll be going through the chat and we can reach out to you with that. So if you still had something that you want to share, go ahead and leave that in the chat. But thank you everyone for joining us today. We're very excited for the launch of the courseware. Please click on the link to request free instructor access. You'll have the opportunity to preview everything on your own. Please sign up for the simulation launch next month and join us for that. You'll love the way it looks. You'll love the walkthrough and the demo. And once again, we thank everyone and have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone. And thank you so much for being here today, everyone.